What's up, Summoners? Ingler here. Normally on Thursdays, we talk about the current banner hero and whether or not you should pull for them. Now, while we're still going to be talking about the banner hero Politis, you need to know that she is very likely a very big bait banner because, as you guys know, we are confirmed to get a collab. So we're going to be talking about today, since it does have a lot to do with actually Politis, is first talk about the collab, what you can expect out of this collab, what's most likely going to happen. Then we'll talk about just where we are right now. You know, we just came out with all these units, super big limited unit banners these past 2 to 3 months. And then we'll actually talk about Politis at the end, why she's a bait banner, and whether or not you should pull for her. And if you have her, how would you actually use her and build her? So if you like the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and use Discord server, link in the description, and feel free to skip around the video. I do have bookmarks in case you want to look at a particular section. But first, let's start with the collab announcement. Now, this is something that they just dropped out of nowhere. No one was expecting it. I wasn't expecting it. Someone in the Discord mentioned me, and I was like, dude, no way they're actually doing this. But yes, we are getting it with That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, which is a very popular anime right now that recently just got its 2nd season. It's actually a really big anime. There is some speculation that this is, you know, potentially the quote-unquote original collab that they had planned and the ReZero was the backup. But that's just speculation. I'm just excited we're getting a collab. But what can you expect out of it, and when can you expect it to come out in? Right, so that's the other part. It is saying that we're going to find out on the Thursday update notice, but on the Facebook and on the Japanese website, they said that that's when we are going to be getting the heroes. So there's a very, 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 very good chance that we get the heroes next week, which is crazy because that gives us 0 turnaround time to get Catalyst, get Covenant bookmarks. We're going to be getting them. Now, the other part that a lot of people are thinking, right, is that, you know, we've had collabs before, for example, with Kisu no Ai, where they just kind of gave us 1 unit for free, right? And people are wondering, you know, are we going to get something like that for this? And my guess is that most likely we are going to get a full set, more like the GG collab, more like the ReZero collab. Why do I think it's not going to be like Kisu no Ai? Well, because on the Japanese website, I actually asked someone in the Discord that actually knows how to read a lot of this stuff, and they told me that these voice actors that they're saying are going to be part of Epic 7, they told me that one of them is for Rimuru, one of them is for the Fire Ogre girl. I cannot think of her name. I know I love the anime, but her, and another one apparently is Milim, right? So those are most likely the units that we're getting. Is going to be Rimuru, Milim, and what's her face? And the Fire. I don't know what her name is. I'm sorry. I should probably look this up before. But yeah, they're going to be in here. And most likely going to be those 3 heroes, because why would they show the voice actors for them if they're not going to be included? So most likely you can expect 3 new heroes. Most likely going to be like ReZero and GG Collab, the first run through, where we get 1 free unit and then 2 banner heroes. Hopefully they actually gave us some banners to actually be able to pull for them more than just 2 weeks. Hopefully this is more like a 3, maybe even a 4-week collab situation. I'm really hoping it's not just a 2-week collab, but that's most likely what you can expect from this upcoming collab, right? So hopefully this gives you a better idea, gets you better prepared. So where does that put us with bookmarks and banner heroes and summoning for Politis, right? That's the next part of this discussion. We just came from a lot of reruns and a lot of new units. This is actually unprecedented. We've never had such an accelerated schedule with so many banger units and so many banger reruns, right? It's just been amazing, like great rerun after great rerun after great rerun. And it's honestly getting to a point where we haven't had a chance to actually get our resources, right? This is from me. I got lucky with rent, and look at where I am, right? I am very, very resource strained. 2 new units next week, I may not be able to get that. We just got Seaside Bologna rerun, Summer Hysteria banner, Holiday Euphine rerun, Landy rerun, Luna rerun. We got Crawl, we got Tenebria, we got Ravi. I think they also did Bazaar. They've done so many. Oh, and they also did, there's another really big unit. Oh yeah, Rem and Amelia, the collab heroes, right? We just had a collab in less than 3 months ago, right? So all these insane banners, we are highly, highly drained. Now, do I like this? That's something for a different video. But the matter of the fact is, we are very extremely resource drained. And the worst part is we're not going to find out the units kits before we actually get the units. So my thing with Politis, even though we're about to talk to you guys about her, and I'm about to tell you guys how awesome Politis is and how great she can make your account and how good she is and for so much content in this game, not just PvP, and how good she's for PvP as well, most likely my recommendation is going to be to skip. Why? Limited heroes are not going to be back for 1 year. And when you look at units like Amelia and you look at units like Rem, they are defining the RTA meta. They're incredible for Guild Wars and even for Arena as well. They just created their own meta, right? So it's something that, as much as I love Politis, and if it was a normal time, I would have told you to consider pulling for her. The matter of the fact is, limited heroes always have a massive splash in the game, right? So my recommendation, again, you're not forced to do this. If you like Politis and you like when I talk about her, by all means, you're welcome to pull for her. Just know that you may miss out on an incredible limited hero that you're never going to be able to get for at least another year, right? And most players are not going to be playing for a whole year, right? So it's something that you definitely consider. Again, my recommendation is to skip. As much as I like Politis, as strong as I think Politis is, the fact that we're so close to a collab and we just came from so many different banners, including Rand, which is an incredible aggro type unit. And honestly, they released them right before the collab announcement to make sure we spent our bookmarks on him, right? They knew what they were doing. I would just say, honestly, save your bookmarks. Limited heroes are almost always just incredible. And the fact that we're likely to get two, most likely it's better to save, right? So again, just from speculation, that's what I would recommend. Now, there's always the chance that we do get a Kizunai collab style, but I find that highly unlikely that they're just going to give us one free unit, because I feel like that would just be a waste of an IP. Because we're talking, unlike Kisuna, that's one person. This is a whole anime, right? It's a whole thing that they have to do. It's a whole process for actually getting the rights to it. There's no reason for them not to try to make money off of it, right? So with that in consideration, right, that the fact that we're getting a collab that most likely is going to be like Rem and Amelia, where we're getting two new heroes, and how we know that for the most part, limited heroes have made a splash for at least a year from when they were released. Now let's actually take a look at Politis' kit, talk about her. Is she good? What does she do? How should you build her? Normally would have told you to pull for her or not. So now let's actually get right into it. So first, as always, stat line on Politis. So the big thing on her stat line is she actually doesn't have great health, but her defense, again, most mages have low health, high defense. That's a very common trait amongst mages. But the one thing that Politis stands out is that she actually has really good effectiveness and decent attack, right? For how decent her defense is, really great effectiveness, makes her job a lot easier to do, and really great attack, right? Again, kind of starting to see more like a control aggro style mage, right? And that's usually what her role is. It's usually as a counter pick aggro style control mage. Her imprints are also going to help you even more. I believe it's an effectiveness self imprint, which again, if you get this some reason you have multiple Politises, you can get very high starting effectiveness. A 57 starting effectiveness, that's going to hit a lot of things in this game, right? That you're pretty much guaranteed to hit squishy units, right? You have a chance to hitting tankier units. But again, not the most important thing in her kit, which is the weird part, because she's actually more relegated to an aggro cleave team and a counter unit. Although again, having effectiveness is nice because it does help certain parts of her kit and does give her access to some different builds. But now, as far as actual kit, what she does. So this one is going to be pretty basic in what it actually does, but it's going to be just a stun, right? Very basic stun. It just attack and stun, right? Nothing crazy, nothing out of this planet. But again, stuns can win games, right? And like most stuns, it is going to be a 40% chance, right? Same with Make Chloe's, which is a pretty good chance. That means almost every other stun you're going to be stunning. What makes this skill really nice is the fact that you can actually get an extra turn with this. And we'll talk about why that's important. The other thing to note is that she is a mage, so she has access to book and can get her own soul burn. She doesn't rely on another mage to bring soul burn for her if that's something you choose, right? You don't have to. She's really good with Leather Violin, really good with Abyssal Crown. But again, you can bring her own book. And if you soul burn, this will actually allow you to use your passive again if you figured it before. And that's actually one of the parts that makes her really solid, right? So again, if you soul burn this skill, you get that extra turn. Pretty important when we talk about the S2 in a second. So now the S2, I don't get to show it because they haven't added that yet. I hope they do, or they can just let us auto trigger it. But first is you reduce the combat readiness granted on enemies by 50%. This is huge. This passive is one of the reasons why people love them. And it's the reason that a lot of CR cleaves don't exist anymore, right? CR push cleaves. When we think of Oxlots, right? When we think of Faithless Litica, all these big cleaves used to rely on CR gain, even something like Challenger Dominio, right? With Politis on the board, you're kind of forced to pick her into those teams because cutting that CR gain by 50% really easily lets you cut in, but it extends way further than that. There's so many units in this game that has CR gain that you don't realize, right? Ravi, Charlotte, Violet, It's I can think of more T-Cern, Arbiter Vildred, right? All these units have CR gaining abilities. General Purgus, right? There are so many units in this game with CR gaining abilities. Excuse me. That this skill is actually really, really great, right? It's just hits a lot of different target units and also always makes her good at cutting and quote unquote controlling your opponent. But that's not it. The other part that's also made her become even more meta and is kind of make her future proof, which means that she's going to be good for a long time unless they just release something ridiculous, is the fact that she punishes skills that don't attack, right? So skills that don't actually, how do they word it on this one? Non-attack skills, right? So there's things like Angel Light Angelica's S3, Emilia's S2, Maid Chloe's S3. Those are the big ones. Violet's S2, right? Elena's S2, Senya's S2, right? All these skills that you wouldn't think about that are non-attack, she's able to come in, attack with an AoE attack, and reduce buff duration by 1 turn, and gain a massive 30% CR push, right? So that is tremendous because there's so many units with non-attack skills, and those non-attack skills are usually game-changing, right? These are skills that if you're using this skill, you are very likely to win the game, right? That's usually, or like you're getting a lot of advantage from. And she kind of punishes that advantage by first stopping your CR if you're using a support, and then coming in and doing a massive AoE attack that can strip and giving her turn priority. And this skill is activated every 2 turns. It has an extremely low cooldown. The reason why this is important is because if you soul burn, your passive is now active again, right? So essentially, if you have your own souls, you can come in, let's say they have a Maid Chloe. Okay, they made Chloe, they're S3. Boom, you hit them with the S2. You reduce their buff duration, you give them less advantage. You take turn, you soul burn S1, and now your passive is back up again. They can now go forward and like Apple because they're just going to take another massive S2 to the face, right? And that's the bread and butter of actually Politis. And then, of course, to top it all off, she has a pretty annoying S3. Not the craziest thing on the planet because her passive is very stacked. But the S3 is going to be an AoE attack that decreases the attack chance and applies unable to be buffed. And it has a 100% chance to land. The glancing hit debuff is actually one of the most annoying things on this game. And it is there for a full 2 turns as well as it cannot be buffed. This is crippling, right? This is gonna basically make it so it's very hard for them to actually come back unless they have a cleanser. But if they cleanse, well, now you hit him again with S2, right? So it's one of those things that's like, man, really, really solid hit overall. And a lot of AoE. All these skills are AoE. This S2 is AoE, this S3 is AoE, and she does pretty good damage. So as far as to how you use her and how would you build her, she is going to be relegated primarily as a counter pick and as a bruiser cleave type unit, particularly in a lot of cleaves, but also a counter pick for bruisers, right? She pretty much fits into everywhere, and I've talked about her a lot before because she is incredibly good. You just slap on and you win. The way you would play her is if your opponent slaps on an Emilia or a Maid Chloe, right? Which are Soul Weavers, they're traditionally pretty squishy. You put her on there, and it basically makes the opponent not want to use those skills because they run the risk of killing their own team, right? Because you're just going to come in, do a massive AoE, and then strip them from their immunity and then do their S3, right? So you're kind of cutting them from doing what they want to do, and you get an advantage that way, as well as having a very good DPS option. And then usually why she's more fit for aggressive drafts is because she does so much damage and they can't heal because they run the risk of getting double AoE'd, which means that the rest of your units have a lot easier time to actually breaking down those Soul Weaver type team compositions, right? So that's like a big part, right? The second part for Politis is also going to be the fact that she is a cleave unit, right? Why is she a cleave unit? Again, the same reason she's a good counter pick. She does 2 potential AoEs, cuts, and you're taking away the opponent, one of the opponent's best counter picks, right? And on top of that, you're a mage, so you carry book, right? So overall, really versatile unit. Counter pick against mage heavy, non-attack heavy team type compositions. Even Samurai Seria as well, because Samurai Seria has to do an S2, and you can cut the Samurai Seria as well as cut the CR gain. Come in, S2, cut, do S3, and then the Samurai Seria is a non-factor, right? Or it's a lot less threatening. Again, that's why Politis is such a great unit. So powerful. She's also good primarily for arena defense, arena offense, RTA. She does okay in Guild Wars. PvE, not so much. Not so great for PvE because you can't really do the passives. So not great for PvE, but again for PvP, she's really solid. Normally, I would have told you to pull on this unit because she is a menace, and she continues to get better with time. Because even think of someone like Ren, right? Ren is a new unit that just came out that has a very critical non-attack skill, right? If they don't use that skill, they don't get attack buff and they don't get immunity, which means that you have a chance to cut or stop their cleave, right? So that's a lot of like the things that Politis just has so much potential to, right? Because as more units are introduced in the game that rely on CR pushing, that rely on actually using non-attack skills, she will continue to be good. As well as at the end of the day, Epic 7, you win by doing damage, and she's able to do that. But that is going to be all I got for you guys today. I would have loved to tell you guys to pull for this unit, but we have to get ready for this collab that's going to be coming in 1 week. I don't know if I'm going to be ready. We might have to be pulling out that credit card, and we'll probably do some showcases to see how good they are. But man, the schedule has been brutal with Epic 7 Smilegate's banner schedule. So I really do feel for my free-to-play players out there, as well as for like new players as well, that like, you know, have just so many good banners. Honestly, like Landy was a must-have unit. So man, it's tough. But that's all I got for you guys today. Good luck on your summons, and I will see you next time. Peace.